The Mughal Court. The Mughal court, much like the court in the Sultanate period, was very ceremonial. The emperor sat on the throne. Others were assigned places to sit or stand, the more important ones being nearer to the emperor. During the reign of Akbar, along with Shilda and Pilbos, Kurnesh and Taslim were also performed. Every day, reports from nobles and department heads were read out to the rulers at the peninsular assigned time. This meetings was held in the Diwan-e-Ghas hall of private audience. The emperor held their court for a general public, the Diwani-e-Alam hall of public audience. People could come here and put forth their problems before the ruler. When the emperor was away from his capital, his court moved with him. During these times, the court was held under huge tents. In the 17th century, the court was divided into two groups, the liberals and the orthodox. Since Jahangir and Shah Jahan were tolerant rulers, the liberal group was dominant in religious matters. Under Aurangzeb, the orthodox group had the upper hand. Administration. Mughal administration was a mix of Central Asian and Indian traditions. It was centralized monarchy and the ruler enjoyed absolute power. The central administration. The king was the head of the both civil and military administration. He was assigned by many officials. The wazir was the prime minister. The diwan was the head of the revenue department. The mir bakshi looked after the military. The khan-e-saman attended the needs of the royal household. Sadr-e-sadur kept a record of grants and donations made by the king. The Qasi was the chief judge. These are the central administration followed by the Mughal emperor. Next one, the provincial administration. The empire was divided into provinces called subas. Each suba was headed by a governor called a subedar. He served as a link between his province and the ruler. Each suba was divided into sarkars or districts and each sarkar into many parganas. A pargana consisted of many villages. The Kotwal looked after town administration. He performed both police and civil duties. He caught criminals and maintained law and order. He had to maintain a list of people living in his area and keep a check people living in his area and keep a check on weight and measures. His office was called Kotwali, a term that is in use even today. Revenue administration. Land and trade were the two main sources of revenue. Akbar carried out many reforms in the land revenue system. Raja Todarmal, his revenue minister, introduced a land revenue system which came to be known as the Todarmal Bandobast. Under the new system, land was probably measured in the past if used to be measured with a rope. However, a rope struck when it was dry and stretched when it was wet. Hence, the measurement used to change. Todarmal introduced a new measuring device. It was a rod made of bamboo, reeds joined together by iron rings. Now land could be measured every day and accurately. After measurement, the land was divided into three categories: good, average and bad. The revenue was fixed according to the fertility of the land. In 1580, a system called Daksala was introduced. Under this, the average produced and the average price over the last 10 years were calculated. The tax to be paid for the year was fixed on the basis of this average. Generally, 1/3 of this figure was the share of the ruler. The emperors encouraged both internal and overseas trade. India exported textiles, spices, indigo, and saffron to China, Central Asia, and Europe.